Putin just recaptured Kursk. Russia's military recently launched a counter-mission against Ukraine and have reportedly captured 6% of invaded territory.
On September 10th, the Russian armed forces had launched a counteroffensive in the Kursk region. Servicemen from one of the units in the border region told that airborne and marine units had driven the Ukrainian armed forces out of 4 settlements.
But this success wasn't without its price. Both sides suffered heavy losses, with many casualties in the aftermath of the battle. How did Russia recover its lost territory in Kursk, and how is this connected to Donald Trump? On August 6th, 2024, Ukraine captured Russia's Kursk Oblast. By exploiting gaps in Russian defenses, Ukrainian troops were able to conquer several settlements in the region. Villages such as Lyubimovka, Tolstoy Lug, and Plakova fell under Ukrainian control during these offensives, turning these areas into contested zones between both countries. These advances not only disrupted Russian operations, but also embarrassed Moscow on the world stage. It showed that Ukraine, while relatively small, was a determined opponent. With Russia's territory and reputation at stake, there was immense pressure to respond decisively. But Moscow had a problem. Since the start of the war, Russian troops had been on the offensive. Thousands of troops had been deployed to conquer Ukraine. However, due to the support from the West, Ukraine has been able to repel many of the attacks. As of November 1st, Russia's military has suffered a significant loss of over 654,000 military personnel, according to Al Jazeera. So when it was time to reconquer lost territory, Putin needed manpower. With sanctions from the West, Putin went to the only person he knew would help, Kim Jong-un. After a visit to North Korea, Putin returned to Russia with a promise from Kim Jong-un's to send his force. Shortly after, it was announced that North Korea had deployed 12,000 of its soldiers to assist the Russian troops in their battle at Kursk. After training the North Korean soldiers in Russian defenses and tactics, Russia sent 50,000 of its troops, along with the DPRK soldiers, to begin a full-out counteroffensive in Kursk.
Russia's military operations in the Kursk region have intensified in recent days. Tens of thousands of troops have been brought up to the front lines for the start of a Russian offensive to take back territory occupied by Ukraine. According to NATO, thousands of North Korean troops have been sent by Kim Jong-un to help Russian forces.
And after weeks of sustained efforts, Russian forces have reclaimed approximately 60 square kilometers of land, or 6% of the territory engulfed in the battle. They stormed with a battalion-sized force, said Anastasia Blishchik, a Ukrainian journalist. Russia's achievement reduced the area controlled by Ukraine by 20 square kilometers, while the overall gray zone, where neither side had firm control, shrank significantly. Among the key gains in the counteroffensive were several strategic villages, each playing a crucial role in the battle. In the western part of the salient, Russian forces successfully recaptured Lyubimovka and Tolstoy Lug, which are located south of Novo-Ivanovka. In the southeastern part of the salient, Russian troops gained full control of Borky. Plakova, another village southeast, saw approximately 80% of its area fall under Russian control. However, portions of Plakova remain contested, with fighting intensifying in its northern sectors. And in the northern salient, Russian forces reportedly recaptured all territory east of Marievka, though some sources have not independently confirmed changes in the front lines. These territorial gains reflect the determined push for Russian forces to reclaim Kursk. Although Russia was successful in reclaiming a percentage of Kursk, this operation came at a cost. Ukrainian resistance was fierce. According to a Ukrainian intelligence officer, more than 50 Russian vehicles, including tanks and armored personnel carriers, were destroyed during the operation. But the losses are on both sides. Amid the chaos, Ukrainian forces captured video footage of Russian troops taking 2 Ukrainian soldiers as prisoners, and moments later, the prisoners were executed. This footage, verified by the Washington Post, gave a clear view of the brutality in Kursk. But why is Russia so determined to reclaim Kursk? Besides the fact that the region is in their country, analysts suspect that has to do with Trump's victory at the 2024 US elections. The timing of Russia's counteroffensive has raised questions about its broader political implications, and analysts have suggested that the operation is linked to Donald Trump's re-election campaign promises. When Trump was on his campaign, he repeatedly claimed that he could end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours if he was reinstated into office.
If I were president, and I say this, I will end that war in one day. It'll take 24 hours. I know Zelensky well. I know Putin well. I would get that ended in a period of 24.
You can break that deal.
100%. It would be easy.
He also talked about how his administration was going to negotiate with Putin. And in retrospect, many analysts believe the Kremlin's actions in Kursk to be part of a calculated strategy to solidify its position before any potential peace talks. By reclaiming the Kursk region, Moscow ensures that negotiations focus solely on Ukrainian-held territories, leaving no room for bargaining over Russian-controlled land. Konstantin Remchukov, editor-in-chief of Nezavisimaya Gazeta, has noted that Moscow is determined to expel all Ukrainian forces from the Kursk region before engaging in talks. It is obvious that Moscow will not begin any negotiations until it expels every last Ukrainian military man from the Kursk region, said Konstantin. He further added that Putin does not want the Kursk region to be used as a bargaining chip and to be forced to give up any territory he has seized. Putin's recent words that any deal should reflect the realities on the ground are linked to Russia's hopes of regaining the seized territories in the Kursk region, Remchukov. Putin is trying to make sure he has the upper hand in the upcoming negotiations. However, Trump has begun taking steps that could destroy Russia's main source of revenue. So check this deep dive, where I'll show you how Trump's plan could cripple Russia's economy.